Now let's take a look at a couple of slides of elastic cartilage and then later some slides of fibrocartilage. Let's begin first with elastic cartilage. This is a slide from the NYU Virtual Microscope. Type cartilage in the search box and select the fourth slide, which you get listed as elastic cartilage. And this happens to be a slide of elastic cartilage taken from the ear pinna, the outer part of the ear. Now, as we zoom in on this slide, one thing that you will get an opportunity to revise is the epithelium, which you can see here. It's a stratified squamous keratinized epithelium, and there is some hair associated with it, as you'll see if you look around. So use this opportunity to revise stratified squamous keratinized epithelium. Being the ear, the surface of course is covered with skin, so underneath the stratified squamous keratinized epithelium you find some dense irregular connective tissue or dermis. And here in this region here, this is where we're going to see the elastic cartilage. Now this specimen has been specially stained to demonstrate elastic fibers, so you can also use this opportunity to look at the disposition and arrangement of elastic fibers in the dermis. This is the Highland Cartilage, and you'll notice it looks quite similar to the Highland Cartilage which we saw previously in the trachea. In fact, elastic cartilage and Highland Cartilage are virtually identical to one another, with the exception of the fact that elastic cartilage has a much higher, in fact a very dense proportion of elastic fibers, although not in this particular specimen. We'll see it a bit more densely in the next. So to recollect again, these are shrunken back cells contained within their lacunae. The pink reddish material you see in the background is the Highland cartilage itself, made up principally, the fiber component is of collagen type 2. And then as we go to maximum magnification, you can see here that small dense dark staining fibers here are elastic fibers, which are interspersed in and among the cartilage matrix and around the edges of the lacunae which contain the chondrocytes. If we zoom out a little bit, you can see just in this region here a sort of a transitional region in which you don't have the same sort of staining as in the Highland cartilage. The staining matches that of the surrounding connective tissue, but some of the cells appear to be in lacunae, and this is where you find perichondrium, the layer of dense irregular connective tissue that surrounds most types of Highland cartilage and elastic cartilage. The other thing you can do is go to the skin surface, which we can see here on either one of the surfaces, whichever you prefer, and then again zoom in. And here again we can see the black staining elastic fibers interspersed among the reddish pink staining collagen fibers which collectively form the dermis. If you use the same search term cartilage and then select the second slide from the list which you get, we'll look at this slide here. And here the elastic cartilage is this dark purple blackish stained blob of material here. And if we zoom up in magnification, what we'll see when we zoom into this is that this particular piece of elastic cartilage, this isn't the ear pinna, this is from somewhere else, has a much higher density of elastic fibers than the piece that we previously looked at. But again, even at this magnification, it should be pretty apparent to you that you have cells often organized in groups which are located in lacunae or openings. The cells or their nuclei have shrunk back from the lacuna itself, that between the cells there are areas of fairly homogeneous looking material, and then again, because this has been specially stained for elastic fibers, we'll be able to see the very extensive elastic fiber network that extends out and around, surrounds each of the cells or pairs of cells in their lacunae. And again, if we go up now to maximum magnification, here the dark lines which you can see are elastic fibers which are woven throughout the intervening Highland cartilage in the background, made of collagen, principally of collagen type 2. And this is the classic appearance of elastic. If you use the same search term cartilage and then select the second slide from the list which you get, we'll look at this slide here. And here the elastic cartilage is this dark purple blackish stained blob of material here. And if we zoom up in magnification, what we'll see when we zoom into this is that this particular piece of elastic cartilage, this isn't the ear pinna, this is from somewhere else, has a much higher density of elastic fibers than the piece that we previously looked at. But again, even at this magnification, it should be pretty apparent to you that you have cells often organized in groups which are located in lacunae or openings. The cells or their nuclei have shrunk back from the lacuna itself, that between the cells there are areas of fairly homogeneous looking material, and then again, because this has been specially stained for elastic fibers, we'll be able to see the very extensive elastic fiber network that extends out and around, surrounds each of the cells or pairs of cells in their lacunae. And again, if we go up now to maximum magnification, here the dark lines which you can see are elastic fibers which are woven throughout the intervening hyaline cartilage in the background, made of collagen, principally of collagen type 2. And this is the classic appearance of elastic cartilage. Now we're going to look at fibrocartilage. Fibrocartilage is a form of cartilage which is intermediate between dense irregular connective tissue and cartilage like hyaline cartilage. And one of the things about fibrocartilage is that the appearance of it varies depending on the site from which it's taken. Specifically, it looks a little bit different when you see it in the intervertebral disc than in other joints. And here we're going to look at fibrocartilage in the intervertebral disc. So if you use the search term cartilage in the NYU virtual microscope and take the 6th slide from the list which you get, and this is the slide we're going to look at here. Understanding this slide takes a little bit of knowledge of the position of the intervertebral disc and the structure of it, and I would ask you please to consult your notes for some cartoon diagrams that illustrate this a little better. But here the intervertebral disc broadly consists of an outer annulus fibrosus or fibrous ring, and this is where I'm showing with the pointer along here and along here, and this surrounds a central core region in here which is filled with a jelly-like material, and this core region is called the nucleus pulposus. We're not really going to examine the structure of the nucleus pulposus. It's sufficient for you to know that it is a jelly-like connective tissue. We're going to concentrate our attention on the annulus fibrosus along here and on this side here. And one thing you should know is that intervertebral discs are closely associated with the vertebrae, the bones between which they're sandwiched, and the surfaces of these vertebrae are covered in hyaline cartilage, and we'll see a big mass of hyaline cartilage just here. Let's zoom in a little bit. Here again we're looking at hyaline cartilage. Why not just zoom into this for a moment? And here you should recognize this as hyaline cartilage. You have cells in lacunae. These ones are very well preserved, occupying the full extent of the lacuna almost, and you can see cell nuclei. And then between the cells and the lacunae is this glassy, homogeneous appearing material. This is the hyaline cartilage. If we move around to the side where we find the annulus fibrosus, this is nucleus pulposus in here, the jelly-like material. So here we come to the annulus fibrosus here, and it's this region here. And if we zoom in fact it's very difficult to make out any specific histological structure here, other than that material, including cells, appears to be organized in rows whose long axis is in the direction which I'm showing the pointer here. Now fibrocartilage is made predominantly of collagen type 1, the same as you find in dense irregular connective tissue, but surrounding the chondrocytes, the cells which are characteristic of cartilage, you see some here, is some relatively disorganized collagen type 2 fibers which we can't actually recognize here. So here is the classic appearance of fibrocartilage of the intervertebral disc. We have cells organized in long columns or rows, and interspersed between them collagen type 1 and collagen type 2. And please consult your notes to see a little more as to exactly how the collagen type 1 and the collagen type 2 are organized with respect to one another. I've switched to the University of Iowa virtual microscope, and I've gone to the section called supporting tissue, and the window that opens gives me something that looks like this. And I'm going to look at this slide here, which is the fibrocartilage slide. It will pop up in a separate window, and here we go. So this is all just one piece of fibrocartilage here. It comes from a different place than intervertebral disc, and this one has been stained with an unusual stain, the details of which you don't really need to know. Suffice it to say that it stains pretty much everything blue. I'm going to look at this at about 10x. And as the image develops here, what you'll be able to see are chondrocytes. There's one here, and they are in fact in lacunae, but the lacunae aren't terribly well defined. There's another one here, There's a chondrocyte here, and we can see the chondrocyte nuclei. They stain a reddish purple colour, which you can see. So these are scattered chondrocytes in lacunae. Some of them are in little clusters or groups, as we can see here and here. And then between them are large amounts of fibrous connective tissue. Now again, it's not possible to make out or to tell the difference between collagen type 1 and collagen type 2 as you see it in very disorganized fibrocartilage like this. It's enough to say that mainly the fiber component we can see here is collagen type 1, and the collagen type 2 is largely confined to the region immediately surrounding the chondrocytes in their lacunae. And this type of highly disorganized fibrocartilage is fairly characteristic and typical of some special joints called symphysis joints. One with which you might be familiar is the pubic symphysis at the front of your pelvis.